Welcome everyone to Gems from the Wisdom Traditions. This is a conversation circle that we hold every Saturday, sponsored by Still and Moving Center. And we've been holding it online since near the beginning of the pandemic, and we've just flourished ever since. It's wonderful to have all of you, those of you who are here on island and those of you who are elsewhere. We always take our themes for the topic for each week from the Still and Moving Center Almanac, which looks like this. And our theme for this entire year is not a small theme. The theme is evolving with the cosmos. And we also have a quote on the back cover of the almanac. That's the quote for the whole year. And so I'm going to ask for Jade and Duchenne, who have their almanacs, if they would be so kind as to start with that year's quote, evolving with the cosmos.
Mahalo, Renée. Evolving with the cosmos. The cosmos is full beyond measure of elegant truths, of exquisite interrelationships, of the awesome machinery of nature. The surface of the earth is the shore of the cosmic ocean. On the shore, we have learned most of what we know. Recently, we have waded a little way out, maybe ankle deep, and the water seems inviting. Some part of our being knows this is where we came from. We long to return. And we can, because the cosmos is also within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Carl Sagan.
Isn't that a wonderful Carl Sagan quote? We are made of star stuff, and we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. I think this idea of evolving with the cosmos has a lot to do with the idea of creativity. And that, I think, is going to play into the conversation that we're going to have today on the theme for this week. The theme for this week is silence and speech. Silence and speech. And the quote for the week is kind of clever. It's from Mehmet Murad Ildan. When wisdom speaks, be silent. Do not waste your candle when the sun is there. Yeah. When wisdom speaks, be silent. Do not waste your candle when the sun is there. So there we go. We are very happy for today that we have Diana Wan with us. Diana Wan has been a part of Still and Moving Center's activities for many years, going way, way back in time. I had the privilege of watching Diana play parts in several local plays, and one of them was a Shakespeare play, and her acting really, really struck me. So well done. And in fact, this year when we did our enactment of the story of the Ramayana for our Diwali festival, Diana Wan played my favorite part, the part of Hanuman, the hero monkey. And she has appeared at many of our open mic nights. She's a grade school educator of 14 years experience, and 10 of those have been as a drama teacher using improvisational games in the classroom. As an improv artist, she has applied her intuitive self-direction to performing Shakespeare, commedia dell'arte, contemporary theater, original works of improvisational theater, and clowning. For her, speech and silence mirrors the natural pulse of the creative process. So we look forward to hearing from Diana before we start into a true conversation circle. It isn't a matter of, we all pepper her with questions and then she has to answer all of us. No, we are all in a circle of conversation. We all have life wisdom. We have all engaged in speech. We have all engaged in silence. And it's from that place of a deep inner silence that our wisdom can be drawn. And all of us have it. So let's start with Diana and have her kind of get our creative and our thoughtful juices flowing. Diana?
Okay, thank you so much, Renee, and thank you to the Still Moving Center. I have been contemplating speech and silence, and I found it so aligning to the cosmic energies at this time. And so, before I start to speak on improvisational theater and that tradition, I wanted to just highlight some metaphysical understandings that I have about the energy at this time. And it is one that is about allowing silence and space for insight and clarity to emerge, and for finding the right energy and timing to express those insights. And so may we be in right rhythm today with our silence and our speech and sharing, so that we may share wisdom together. I wanted to share a short presentation that speaks on Viola Spolin and some of her improvisational games and the purpose of her games, and then share some of my stage experiences as it relates to the theme of speech and silence, and possibly even bring a couple of experiential exercises for us today so that we may experience that on a sensory level, and then afterwards open it up to conversation and exchange. Does that sound okay?
Yes, it does. And if you have any way of increasing your volume, that would probably be helpful to us.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
thank you.
Let me just play around with that just a little bit. Okay, can you hear me better? Is it
Yes.
louder now? Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Can everybody see this?
Mhm.
Um, this is one of the first quotes that stood out to me when I was contemplating the improvisational theater tradition, and this is from Viola Spolin. The intuitive can only respond in immediacy, right now. It comes bearing its gifts in the moment of spontaneity, the moment when we are free to relate and act, involving ourselves in the moving, changing world around us. Through spontaneity, we are reformed into ourselves. It creates an explosion that for the moment frees us from handed down frames of reference, memories choked with old facts and information, and undigested theories and techniques of other people's findings. Spontaneity is the moment of personal freedom when we are faced with a reality and see it, explore it, and act accordingly. In this reality, the bits and pieces of ourselves function as an organic whole. It is the time of discovery, of experiencing, of creative expression.
I think if you could even project a little more, that would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
sure. Sorry, I'm using these headphones. I don't know if it's helping or not. I'm gonna take off the headphones to see if it helps.
Okay.
Is this any better?
Yes.
It is? Okay, great. So I think I made the mistake of having those headphones plugged in. Okay. All right. Um, so as Viola Spolin's theater games, just to give you an orientation to her games, they're interactive theater games that unlock creativity, communication, verbal and nonverbal, and problem solving skills, focusing on physical involvement, sensory awareness, and transformation spontaneously. There are a number of exercises that orient the player to sensory awareness, and I'd like to just share a couple of them so that we can have some experience with it. And this first exercise is called listening to the environment. The focus is on hearing the sounds around us, and you can see the instructions here. All are to quietly sit for 1 minute and listen to the sounds of the immediate environment. They then compare the sounds they heard: birds, traffic, creaking chairs, etc. So I'd love for us to just sit for a minute so that we can experience this, and um, yeah, and I'll just keep a short timer. So focus on hearing the sounds around us. Okay, and that was about a minute. And now just inviting people if they'd like to share something that they had heard in the environment, and you can feel free to type it into the chat, or if you'd like to name it, you can. For example, I heard some fire or some sirens that were outside of my window, and I also heard my air filter, and I heard the sound of my breath as I was taking a little bit of a gasp to speak. Okay. Oh, okay. A helicopter and hummingbird. I heard the sound of the treadmill, football fans in the back, and my chewing. My cat's water fountain. Mm-hmm. Fan and breath. Yeah. Airplane flying above and construction down the street. Mm. Yes, and so this can be an exercise that we do regularly, and Viola would assign this to her students as homework in order to strengthen their sensory awareness and listening. So this is something that we can all do just to be more observant each day. Another exercise is feeling the self with self. Focus is on feeling self with self. Entire group sits quietly. Players physically feel what is against their bodies with their bodies as side coached. Side coach continuously. If necessary, coach players to keep their eyes open. And so just an invitation now to feel the self with self. I will give voice to the side coaching, and you can focus on your experience. Feel self with self. Feel your feet with your feet. Feel your feet in your stockings and your stockings on your feet. Feel your slacks and skirt on your legs and your legs in your slacks and skirt. Feel your underclothing next to your body and your body next to your underclothing. Feel your shirt against your chest and your chest inside your shirt. Feel your ring on your finger and your finger in your ring. Feel your hair on your head, your eyebrows on your forehead. Feel your nose against your cheeks, your ears, your tongue inside your mouth. Try to feel the inside of your head with your head. Feel the space around you. Let the space feel you. And the evaluation question here is, was there a difference between feeling your finger on your ring and feeling your finger in your ring? And this can be applied to any of the other examples too. Perhaps feeling your hair with your head or your head on your hair. So, just an invitation now for just any observations, any differences or that you noticed. I'll just start by saying that I've always been really captivated by the coaching of feel the space around you and let the space feel you. Yeah, I hadn't thought about having a relationship with space until I had experienced these games. And so just really opened up my noticing to how much already exists in the space and just bringing awareness to that.
I think it brought awareness to the parts of my body I don't give a lot of awareness to. So, like, feel the ring on your finger was helpful as opposed to feeling my finger in my ring because I don't know, just like having something to attach it to versus like when you breathe, you're more aware of your chest area. So, feeling my chest in my shirt was easier to associate. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, yes. By the way, this is like, want to take this opportunity to just acknowledge that there are people that are in the room that have shared these stage experiences that I'm going to talk about later. And Tina's one of them. Tina's one of my favorite acting improviser partners for many years. And just so happy that she's here.
Hey, girl.
Okay. If we're up for one more exercise, this exercise is called mirror. And this is one of the exercises I've experienced the most in across acting workshops, improvisation workshops, and even in movement classes, and also some therapeutic spaces as well. And so this might be familiar to many of you. In Viola Spolin's work, this is called Mirror, and here are her instructions. Focus on exact mirror reflection of the initiator's movements. Players count off into teams of 2 players. One player becomes A and the other B, and all teams play simultaneously. A faces B, and A reflects all movements initiated by B, and all teams play simultaneously. Oh, I just said that. A faces B, and A reflects all movements Initiated by B, head to foot, including facial expressions. After a time, reverse the roles, calling upon B to reflect A. I think one way in which we could possibly engage in this, if people are up for it, is if anybody wants to play, we can pair people up according to A and B, and have an experience of this where one person, A is initiating, and then B can mirror. I guess.
Oh, maybe for the sake of time, why don't we watch you and Christina do it?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds okay to me. Is that okay with you, Tina?
Always.
Yay! Okay, great. So I'm gonna see. Okay, so I can only see you now, Tina. So I'm gonna be
Oh,
looking.
wait, let me pin you. One sec. Okay.
Okay. Oops. Am I still sharing screen?
Yeah, if you cut your share, we'd be able to see the both of you better.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
and so this is you, this is the silence side, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And so, okay, so I'll be A, and how about Tina, you be B? And then we'll change as we go. Okay, all
Okay.
right. So, and change. You're A and I'm B now. Change. Change. And freeze. And we can shake that out.
Delightful.
Yes. Yes. And so I find there's just so much delight and connection that happens when we're just present for what we're seeing in front of us and between us, as opposed to predicting what somebody else may be doing or anticipating their movements. It's really about breathing together and
Mm.
sharing space.
So we have about 5 more minutes of presentation. So if you want to kind of craft.
Okay, sure. Okay, great. Okay, then I guess I'll just maybe speedily go through some of my little stage wisdoms that I had reflected on. I'll try to keep it, yeah,
Okay.
okay, try to just keep it to the 5 minutes. Okay, so I had been reflecting on speech and silence. One way in which silence shows up on the stage is through silent play. Had various experiences with clowning and physical comedy. And one of the coachings that Viola Spolin gives is show, don't tell. And the reason for that is to focus on embodied expression, making discoveries physically and in the moment, and being present and connected. So the connection can happen between players and with the environment, and also with your own intuition. Silence makes space for physical connection and present body awareness. There's something about just having silence so that you can notice how your body is feeling. You can notice how you are physically or emotionally feeling. And so it's a way for shifting your awareness. Speech can shape emotional tone, and silence builds tension. Had a stage experience where um, I was, yeah, in this story, I was the prince over here, and I was banishing Dromio. It's a comedic version of a mashup of uh, Romeo and Juliet and Comedy of Errors. And yeah, it was meant to be comedic. But when I was banishing Dromio, there was something in my tone and in my expression that really felt so sad and weighted. And it really, I used that emotional, hearing my own emotional tone to shape and build in some silence. And that silence was um, it was a chance for everyone to, I think, feel, at least it was for me to feel my emotions, and um, gave a resting place until I was able to mm, let my emotion land. And so, yeah. Silence makes space for intuitive listening, co-direction, and spoken wisdom to emerge. This is Tina and I. We did a show called Musical Healing with Tina and Diana, and um, we had a very mindful approach to our play, and so there was a lot of um, kind of spacious moments where we were listening to what was between us and really honing in on just what was the wisdom to be spoken in each moment, and just allowing that to emerge and letting it take its time. Um, and we'd sometimes speak those wisdoms and sometimes sing them into song. Um, Another show that I had created with some other players was Inner Voices, and this is about giving voice to your inner voice and listening to them in order to find inner clarity. And so here's two of my teammates here, and they were playing two different voices that were in my head as I was trying to make a big decision, a big life decision. And so there's something about speaking aloud the thoughts that are in your head that allow you to hear it, and for it to become a process in which you find clarity. Here is a more recent play that I did called The Chinese Lady. And I chose this because I thought about when when there isn't a voice, and when we imagine a voice for a person. So Ah Feng Moi is the first Chinese American woman to have come to the United States, and the playwright Lloyd Tse wrote a voice for her, and and in that voice, and I think in the message, it was really an articulation of how we can see each other as more alike than different. And I included here Send Sight Out because that's one of the coachings of Viola Spolin in order to really physicalize sight. And so I had many moments in which I was, well, first of all, it was a 90-minute, I was on stage for 90 minutes and I was speaking about 40 pages of dialogue. But there was one point where my partner had his monologue, and I had a chance to really just sit. And in those moments, I was really focusing on sending my sight out and sending my emotion out as well through my eyes. Here's Maggie and I. So Maggie and I have been improvising since 2014 at least. And here we are at the Still Moving Center open mic. And I think the wisdom here is if you're going to say or sing something, let it be the truth. And so we've spent a lot of time and a lot of years and a lot of play hours just really like sensing into spacious moments and letting truthful speech emerge. And really, when we are singing, a lot of it has to do with just acknowledging what is the truth of the moment and being very honest with what we're feeling, what we're noticing, what we're sensing and observing. And then here's our most recent staging of Diwali 2025. And it was a great partnering of speech and thought. We had a narrator who was giving the speech, and then a lot of silent pantomiming and actioning of the players. And so it was a really great example of how there's a co-activity and a co-thing and partnering with each other in a process. Um, yeah, and I think my overall insight is that speech and silence is likened to yin and yang, um, action versus receptivity, and I think is also very similar to the, the contrast of still and moving, and that it represents and is the embodiment of the pulse of the universe and the pulse of the creative process.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, well, Diana's given us some great food for thought, good food for conversation. I think I'm just taking a little deep breath in, just allowing things to land, which I appreciated that cue, Diana, allowing something to land. So this is the time in which we're just opening it up to all of you. Something in yourselves about speech and silence and your experience, something you have a question about, maybe some kind of aha that you've made in your life in regard to speech and silence that you might want to share with us. And I'm personally not very good at following chats. I can't do that and listen to people very well. So if you have something to say, if you could put your hand up or just speak it out, that would help me, because I'm not good at doing both of those things. I'm from the wrong generation, evidently. Jade or Deshen?
Mahalo, Diana, for sharing such wonderful wisdom for us to absorb. There's one thing that I recognized through my journey was there is conscious voice and there's unconscious voice, and the in order to become aware what is coming out of unconscious voice, you have to be silent. And when an awareness comes out of that silence, you have to find a way to put it into consciousness in action, somehow making it an embodiment. And that conscious action then retrains the unconscious self. That creates a cycle of loop where you get something, you act, and it goes back to the self, and you keep retraining yourself, building that conscious awareness and at the same time a voice which will be trained over a period of time. So that's what it spoke out to me from your presentation, and I appreciated the wisdom of its timing. You said something, silence allows us to create awareness, you embody it. Timing is also in your hand, controlling when you want to share. It's a very wonderful wisdom to think about and contemplate.
Thank you. Before I call on Piper, is there anybody who wants to respond to what Tishen had to share? Yeah, Michelle?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was thinking, first of all, thank you, Diana and Deshawn for sharing. Um, uh, I just think about trusting one's inner voice a lot. When you talk about timing of how you share um, between being silent and speaking. And so, as a visual artist, I feel like a lot of the dialogue is happening in here, in the head, versus actually sharing. And hopefully, the images are speaking for me. It becomes my vocal cords, my box. And so I just wanted to share that because I feel like the throat chakra is such a big part of evolving with the cosmos, is like that sharing of one's truth and how we allow cosmic truth to speak through us.
Thank you. Hmm. Anyone else before we move on to Piper? I did appreciate, Dishan. It sounded to me as if, to the extent that we are able to, through silence, tap into that inner voice that may start out unconscious, we may succeed in making that a more conscious voice, more accessible to us. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, and um, conscious is only 10% of our mind, and 90% is unconscious, which is a very bigger play at role which we can tap into to find that awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Let's go over to Piper.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much, Diana. That was awesome. So many good things to think about. I'm also an actor. I'm in a play right now. And send sight out is like that's the note that I needed to get me through this last week of tech. And I'm so excited to bring that with me into the run. Thank you for that. Really, that's I think that's such a wonderful visual, especially as a follow up after the exercise of feeling ourselves in our clothes and our clothes around us. I feel like I can even, I'm feeling it just in my room right now. I'm like practicing sending my sight out and feeling my little like laser beam of vision in the space. And I'm loving that. Thank you. And I wanted to share that on the subject of silence and speech. I work with kids a lot, specifically a lot of infant care, and I find in that realm, I think of speech sometimes separately from the comprehension part of language. There's like just making sound with the human voice, I think is a really important form of speech, regardless of what we're saying. And I find with kids a lot of the time, like people think that sometimes you have to have the house super quiet for a baby to sleep, but actually the sound of speech is one of the most soothing things for a baby, and they often fall asleep better if you're on the phone or if there's someone else in the next room having a conversation, that kind of thing. I guess my cat likes it too. um, and and on the other side of that, I think there are a lot of times with older children or even adults where it's those moments where we're like so trying to explain things or over communicate, and those are the moments when I think it's sometimes most important to let things land. Hi. Like you said, and just take a minute and maybe give someone the gift of a moment of silence in those, in the times that we feel most caught up on our words. And I think that's something that I needed to be reminded of also lately, to just take a silence once in a while and just sit in it, really, really soak it in and feel the silence on me and feel myself in the silence. So thank you. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, it does seem as though that silence is so necessary for listening. And it's an inner silence rather than all this preparing of speech for the next break in the conversation when we can insert what it is that we've been, turning around and ready to bring out. So those little pauses in between allow things to land, and then we're more responsive than that reactive blah process. Really hear that person. And then I think what comes out is so different because we've been able to assimilate what that other person has said in reformulating, rethinking what was already in our own minds, perhaps. And so that something that comes out is this assimilation of two or more people's shared thoughts. Yeah.
Also,
Diana and then Dishan.
yeah, it's really making me also think about the aspect of listening that has to do with receiving vibration. And so, yes, there's the intellectual component of receiving the idea, and simultaneously, there's literally taking in the resonance of someone else's voice and allowing it to absorb into your being so that you're really going past the words to understand and be with someone's resonance. And I think also love to just add the verbiage of grounding. So letting something land can feel very grounding for us in the body. And it's and I think that grounding comes from not giving into a pressure to be speaking, a pressure to push ideas, whatever may be so active, pushing it out. So there's a real, just kind of grounding presence that can come.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. For some reason, I'm calling on Rhea before Dishin. I'm not sure why, Rhea.
That's so fascinating. Well, one thing is I have a question, and clearly you're intuitive. My question is, I actually had to step out. I had to take a medical kind phone call. So I want to ask, I know you're taping. Will we have access to the replay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I don't know, maybe this has already been said, but there was something about the exercises that we were doing that really put me in that wonderful place of, it's like here, not here, thinking, not thinking. People talk, especially in the spiritual realms, about ego and being egoless. As a performer, many years as a performer, I used to try to explain to people one cannot perform with no ego. Ego has to be there, or else I'm not even out on stage. At the same time, once I step out there, all of that has to drop. I have to just be space, because the audience, the people that I want to communicate with, my ego is of no interest or purpose there. It's just in the way. I needed it to get me out there, but then I have to just be present, be empty. My lines are all that, but even that, I can't be anxious about that. I have to be in full trust. I've been on stage where I was in the middle of my monologue, and then somehow my mind went forward and there was nothing there. Is that a time to panic? No, that's a time to completely let go and come right back to this present sentence that I'm saying right now. Be in this present moment and know that all of it is there. absolute faith, absolute trust. I want to say, Renee, I don't know again what brought me here today. I want to say that I'm so happy to be part of this moment, so happy to be part of this discussion, and I'm really looking forward to more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful contribution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Dishan.
I just picked up the words from you, Michelle, and Diana, and it made me think about consciousness as we have our own individual consciousness, which is, in terms of it, stems from silence. When we find authenticity, it shows up as a form of an energy to outer world. And when you resonate with people, it becomes a collective consciousness. Maybe resonance is one of the key ingredients for that energy to multiply. And I wonder if it expands further to reach cosmos, what key ingredients we might need for that cosmic consciousness to evolve. Would you say it is a layered versions?
Well, that's a question for everyone. What is necessary for our speech to be so authentic that it is in resonance with the cosmos? Am I approximating it, the question? I think some of it is what Rhea was talking about, that you may need ego to get yourself out in front of folks. But then at that point, the ego departs to make room for something larger, for that which is appropriate to come through and forth.
Yes. So I'm thinking about what is contained in the ego, and some of it is just memories, old ways of responding, things that have just accumulated in our field that really have nothing to do with what is present in the moment. And I think about processes in which we clarify or bring into coherence those things that may be trapped or stuck in our field, so that we can become a coherent channel for whatever information is coming through. And yeah, it takes a lot of work to kind of shake those areas out. And one thing that I know is that vibration plays a big part, I think, in loosening up where some of those patterns may be. So various modalities of sound therapy and other healing tools involving sound and vibration really speak to me and help to clarify the body as a vessel for information and insight and energy to come through.
As the mind is as well, right? And it seems as though if one is going to be an effective actor, for example, one needs to train all the different aspects of the human vehicle. The physical aspect of the human being needs to be, for example, maybe pliable to be able to embody in different ways these different characters that may be coming through. At the same time, one has to cultivate the voice so that it can take on the timbre or the coloration of the moment and of the character that's being portrayed. And then the mind certainly needs that training to be able to, for example, if you're needing to deliver 40 pages of script, my goodness, that is a lot of mental exercise and training to be able to clear the mind enough of all the other chatter that is going on to be able to memorize and then be able to hold on to that and deliver that. So lots of aspects of the human being need the training to then be able to be more of an egoless conveyor of what needs to come through. Yeah. So something about our training, maybe that has to do with, the way that we have conducted our life in this lifetime, makes us more uniquely qualified maybe for channeling these energies through acting, for example, versus somebody like Michelle who does more in terms of the visual arts. Her training allows her to have other things come through, I imagine, because she has developed these techniques maybe through the hands and the use of materials that she uses. So something about the way that we have lived our lives in this body prepares ourselves to then allow something greater to come through than we would have been able to allow through. I mean, all of us can remember our early efforts in whatever it is that we do, if it was dancing or singing or painting or whatever. Those early efforts might have been very, spontaneously joyful, but a little awkward. I mean,
Just a little.
But eventually, as we do that training, we become more refined instruments for whatever it is that we are bringing forth. From the silence into speech. Carol Ann. Carol Ann is joining us from California, somewhere near Carmel Valley.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me that great. I am 3 weeks post having my spine rebuilt. So I'm kind of on the road to recovery. And what this really brought to mind for me in catching it at the end and reading the sharing for the week is that, the saying, life is a stage. A lot of what I do in life when it comes to my medical process is I have to act my way through encounters with doctors. If I'm really scared, i.e., probably the same feeling that somebody has before they go on stage, it's like there isn't, in this instance, place for ego because there is this knowing that I have to surrender and surrender to people helping me. And so this idea of courage and kind of putting on that brave act to get my way through that stage of existence. And so I draw a lot of wisdom from this because I feel it's essential to have that imagination for that escape for somebody like myself. So, yeah, just profound wisdom today.
Oh, thank you so much, Carol Ann. Jade? And after Jade, what I'd like to do is just give time for us to go around the circle and let everyone share a takeaway. You can always pass. It's always there as an option, however. So Jade.
Mahalo nui loa. It was so wonderful to hear your experiences, Diana, and those amazing gems from each of your different pieces of plays and art. And I also loved hearing all the insights from everyone. And I thought this is so amazing. Through that creative process, all of these wisdoms can be extended to life. And I love how Diana ended with the pulse of the universe and the pulse of the creative process is one. And there's something about that life energy in that creative process that just draws the life, the cosmic energy out of you, whether it's Michelle's art or Tina, Diana's, and Rhea's acting, or Renee's Nia. That just draws that creative process out and kind of pulls you closer to the pulse of the universe. I really love the exercise Diana took us through, where we were feeling the space, and I have a deep connection with nature, and when I'm in nature, I remember Deshane said this to me many times. As much as you are experiencing nature, nature is experiencing you. And I just love that. It's like the observer is also observing, and vice versa. And you're both. Everything is alive, right? Everything is chi and just feeling each other. One last thing is I found it very interesting that lesson that you learned, speaking out loud to find clarity. I found that interesting because something that I have practiced for a very long time is actually being silent to find clarity. And I realized that it's just the other side of the coin. Mahalo. Beautiful.
Yeah. So the way it looks on my screen, maybe not be the way it looks on your screen. I think what I'll do is start with Rhea, and so just remember whose name comes before yours. Rhea, Christina, Ihilani, Michelle, Carol Ann Piper, Jade, Deshan, Carolyn, and then we'll let Diana speak last. And just, just quick little something.
Just a word.
Yeah.
A word. But first, I'd very much like to thank Diana and Christina. So lovely. Thank you for sharing so joyously and humbly and playfully. It's really a wonderful moment this hour has been. And I don't even know what these next words are, but it's something about the silence, remembering how important the silence is and voicing it, saying it. I mean, I obviously I know it is, but saying it and recognizing it and acknowledging it has been a very much of a blessing today. So thank you all for all of this, your energy, for being here, for everything that you've gone through in this life and shared today. Thank you. Yes. Mahalo.
Thank you, Rhea. Christina?
I think, and I have a leg up here because I think I'm just also reflecting on all the years I've had to be able to practice with Diana and learn from her in this particular way. But I think my takeaway is that silence gifts presence, which can inspire play.
Beautiful. Michelle?
I see a dialectic in what we have observed and heard, and that dialectic is the path to harmony. So thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Michelle.
My phone is acting up. But I was on a whale watching trip, and I think it just totally took all of my memory off my phone. That's just so loaded. But getting back to the point, I feel so grateful to have Diana Wan share her experience and be just such an amazing presence to so many people. And I feel like when she's up on stage, I see someone so completely metamorphized, so different, so changed, and to allow space always to speak through her in such a creative way is very inspiring. And also holding a space for other people to also be themselves. And I feel like you do that as well, Renee, with your center, with Nia. I feel like for me, what I'm learning is it's not ego getting, like setting that aside in order for the space to be co-creating with the universe and cosmos, but it's through the emotion of the heart and joy that allows that space to magnify. So the more joy I feel, actually, the more authentic I feel.
Yes. Ilani. Ihilani. Beg your pardon.
Hello. Yes, thank you. I feel like I'm very much embodying the silence aspect of things today. But I first do want to just mahalo Diana, who is just one of my favorite collaborators and one of the most brilliant artists I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with and also directing with. And Tina as well. You know, these are some of my favorite people. So always happy to just be in that space. And something that I have been thinking about and kind of came to me in a separate space, but I was reminded of today is you know uh, silence as an offering, silence and listening as a way of expressing love. And that is something that, yeah, came to me again. I'm in a slightly different way here. So that is my share. And yeah, thank you all so much. What a wonderful time I've had.
They say sometimes silence is golden and sometimes it's just plain yellow. The silence that's golden is the gift of love. I think you were speaking of Ihilani. Carol Ann, you may have already given us your takeaway.
It's just the idea of our life on a continuum being that stage and embracing the acts.
Yes. Each appearance on the stage is meaningful in and of itself, however brief. Yes. Thank you. Piper.
I think the word that's really just sitting with me right now is resonance. And I think I'm thinking of the resonance of sound, the resonance of silence, and that remembering sometimes a silence takes longer to resonate than a word. And it's important to leave space for that. And also still thinking about how delightful it was that the resonance of my voice called my cat to me across my home, and he came and he purred and vibrated and resonated on me the whole time after that I was sitting here. And I literally, I hear him coming again right now. And I think it's wonderful to remember that just the sound of your voice, or sometimes the sound of your silence will call good things to you. And I think that's a good reminder right now. Thank
Yeah,
you so much. Yeah.
thank you. Jade.
Mahalo, Diana, Renee, and everyone for your beautiful insights. Such a wonderful presentation, and also it was such an honor to see Diana embody Hanuman when we played Diwali together. The Ramayana, she just made Diana made the. I learned so much just by watching her prepare and felt her completely embody Hanuman, and through that, it also helped me to embody and learn from the characters and the the whole process.
Yeah, so
Creative joy.
so I'm sure it assisted you in playing Sita.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank
It
you.
was
Tishan.
Self is already shining.
Indeed. You get to wrap us up, Diana. We're so grateful to you, all of us.
Oh gosh, I feel a sense of wholeness, a sense of feeling complete. I think I think what really stays with me is the resonance of joy and love and truth. I really feel it in spaces like this where we're able to be present with each other. And I feel that's how we tap into unity consciousness, is when we bring our own self and our own uniqueness and our own vibration and contribute it into a collective.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, I feel more of myself when I'm with all of you. So, thank you.
Yes. I'll just let everyone know that next week our topic will be spiritual alertness. Spiritual alertness. And I think it's very, very consonant with the topic we've taken up today. That alertness is very tied to that listening, that silence. And speaking for us at the beginning of next week's gathering, conversation, will be Jade, who's there and has shared with us. Jade, from which tradition have you decided to speak?
the way of tea and water.
Tea, pouring tea. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The way of tea and water. Wonderful. So we thank all of you for your attendance, for your silence, for your speech, and we especially thank Diana today. Mahalo nui. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Aloha.
Renee.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Oh,
Every Saturday?
every Saturday.
Wow. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you.
Wonderfully done. Thank you so much, Diana. I'm so happy you said yes.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing it with your friends too. So I think it's not always that we get a chance to share within this kind of context what it is that we do just with one another or in front of an audience, but to actually look at it from a perspective that you gave us. Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.